monster coming.
Elf is unarguably one of the funniest Christmas movies out there. And with Christmas just around the corner, you're probably ready to give it a millionth watch.
Who the heck are you?
However, considering that you've watched it many times, let's do things differently this time around.
Santa! Oh my God! Santa here?
Let's go through some of the funny things, mistakes, and trivia from the making of the movie. It would be like watching the movie with fresh eyes when you go to watch it again. And if you haven't yet seen Elf, first off, why? Secondly, here's your spoiler alert. To start with, did you know that Buddy's belch was not a sound effect? If you've watched the movie as much as me, you probably remember the scene where Buddy eats a ton of sugary food and then lets out the most satisfying burp. That burp was actually made by a human.
What?
But not Will Ferrell. Maurice LaMarche, the famous voice actor, especially known for voicing Brain in Pinky and the Brain.
That you would all mock my plans for world domination.
Yes, we shall take over the world. Come back to the lab to plan for tomorrow night.
Is to be thanked for that impressive belch. He's actually demonstrated the belch in front of live audiences a number of times. That said, whether or not Buddy should have been able to produce that loud a burp is arguable, considering that Ferrell was not actually drinking the soda. If you look closely, you'd notice that the bottle does not cave in, even though Buddy had his lips sealed around the entire opening of the bottle. So there's no way he could have been drinking anything. But that's just me being picky. Ferrell might not have actually been drinking the soda in that scene, but he was actually consuming all the sweets that he was given, including the somewhat disgusting syrup-coated spaghetti. He was more than happy to consume all of that for the job, of course, but he regretted it not too long after, because it made him sicker than he had been in a while. Anyway, Elf is a treasure trove of such unforgettable moments and easy-to-miss mistakes. Who could forget Buddy's first time meeting his dad?
Dad!
Watching the faces of the employees slowly morph from mirth to confusion as Buddy sings his song will forever remain epic.
I'm here with my dad, and we never met, and he wants me to sing him a song.
We, of course, could never forget Buddy's excitement at seeing Santa, and his subsequent disappointment at the fact that the Santa was fake.
You sit on a throne of lies.
By the way, did you know that the Throne of Lies scene was shot in just one take? While it took Buddy a really short time to build his Lego cityscape, it took the production team more than 2 weeks. So, Buddy and Santa needed to get that scene right in one take because nobody wanted to spend another 2 weeks or more building the Lego cityscape from scratch. And boy, did they get it right. That whole scene almost looked completely different though. Buddy was supposed to have landed a job in Macy's, not Grimble's. Macy's had even offered up their Santa land. Plus, they were willing to incorporate the shooting of the movie into their parade. It was a huge opportunity, but it came with a cost. Their Santa couldn't be revealed to be fake. He had to be real. And while I do understand the reason behind that request from a business perspective, I'm really happy that Favreau turned down that request. Fake Santa needed to get busted. Still on the subject of epic elf moments, let's also not forget about the snowball fight scene. Buddy could have had a long career in football, easy. And it's always nice to see bullies get what they deserve. But did you know that that scene was mostly CGI? Of course, it's pretty obvious that no human being can throw at the rate that Buddy threw. And even though CGI wasn't as big and advanced in 2003 as it is now, I still think the scene holds up very well. Or could just be me enjoying the bullies getting payback. Speaking of CGI, for a film like Elf, I mean, Will Ferrell is tall at 6 foot 2 inches, or 1.91 meters, but he is by no means a giant. So if this movie was made in 2023, especially if it was made by Marvel, there might have been a heavy use of CGI to make Ferrell appear a lot taller than the elves. Instead, the director Jon Favreau used forced perspective to achieve the same effect.
We'll be moving over to the forced perspective shot on the big set.
Basically, they built 2 sets, one smaller than the other. They did this for every shot at the North Pole. It must have taken a lot of time and effort, but the results are very much appreciated. And they are the reason Elf is timeless. I mean, if you look closely, You might be able to notice that Papa Elf, played by Bob Newhart, doesn't exactly line up with Buddy when he is carrying him on his lap at the beginning of the movie. But you'd have to be paying attention to it, and even know what to look for to catch that. They could have also taken the easy way out with the design and mechanics of the North Pole by going for CGI. Instead, the director experimented with motion control, models, and matte paintings, fighting to use as little CGI as possible. If they had used 2003 CGI, I doubt that people would still be watching Elf in 2023. Anyway, we almost didn't get to see Will Ferrell in this iconic role. Jim Carrey was initially considered for the role, and it's not difficult to see why.
Mama!
At the time when the movie was in development, which was actually almost 10 years ago before it was filmed, Will Ferrell was just starting out in Saturday Night Live. While Jim Carrey had already established himself as a comedic actor with films like Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. However, by the time the script was ready to go to film, Ferrell had been in enough SNL skits that they were willing to take a chance on him.
I know what you're thinking. What the heck is this handsome devil doing back in the Oval Office?
And it worked out well for everyone. For one, Jim Carrey eventually got his own Christmas movie with The Grinch.
The Grinch!
But more than that, Will Ferrell proved to be the perfect person for the role, with all the improvisations that he made. Improvisations that many would consider some of their favorite things about the movie.
Smell like beef and cheese. You don't smell like Santa.
For instance, I'm sure that you will agree that Buddy in the Store is one of the best things about the movie.
I think you have the most beautiful singing voice in the whole wide world.
The childlike glee at experiencing Christmas outside of the North Pole is something that many of us wish we could experience as adults. Well, as you might already know, Ferrell's reaction at hearing that Santa was coming was completely improvised. No one knew that he was going to scream or tell everybody that cared to listen that he knew Santa. So props to Ferrell for doing what he thought best fit the Buddy character. But also props to the other people in the scene for maintaining their cool and keeping the scene rolling. Especially Faison, who played the manager.
Make work your favorite. That's your favorite, okay?
Okay.
Work is your new favorite.
It's 2023, and we still appreciate the hell out of you guys. Speaking of malls, Ferrell actually used to work at one. Of course, this was way before he got his start on SNL.
That sounds great!
Talk more of acting an elf, but he actually worked as a mall Santa for a couple of weeks. So he definitely knew what being fake Santa felt like, and should probably have taken it easier on the fake Santa on set. Anyway, still on the mall scene. The mall, or Gimbel's lavish toy department, was not actually a real mall, which isn't all that surprising. The set was built in an abandoned mental hospital, and that facility is typically used for horror productions like Jennifer's Body and The X-Files. It's interesting that the same facility was used to shoot a movie as hilarious as Elf. We've been talking so much about Will Ferrell, and for good reason, but let's not forget that Zooey Deschanel was also in the movie playing Jovi. She almost wasn't though. She only came in because the original actress had to drop out. And thank God that happened, because Deschanel's casting made it possible for the movie to be more musical.
So really I'd better scurry.
That is, because she has some singing chops, they decided to add some singing to the script. Without Deschanel, we wouldn't have had that beautiful duet of Baby It's Cold Outside between Jovi and Buddy.
Baby, it's cold outside.
And Santa's sleigh might not have had enough Christmas spirit to continue flying. Speaking of the Christmas spirit, there's a tiny plot hole that we need to talk about quickly. You know how many of them don't believe in Santa? Well, it doesn't really make sense if you think about it. I mean, Santa exists in that universe, and he sends people gifts. So who do you think sends all those gifts if Santa does not exist? If you have an explanation for that, I don't mind hearing about it in the comments section. But it just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, the singing is not the only change that was made to the show. In the original script, the elves were supposed to be a lot meaner to Buddy.
If he hasn't figured out he's a human by now, I don't think he ever will.
In fact, that was supposed to be his motivation for leaving the North Pole to meet his father. However, they decided to nix that idea, keeping the elves warm and friendly to give Buddy a reason to be kind when he got to New York. By the way, New York was actually mostly Canada. Also, the chief of the elves was played by the one and only Peter Billingsley of A Christmas Story fame. As seems to be the theme of this movie, the babies that were originally cast to play Baby Buddy ended up not working out. The twin boys were not happy to be on set, and they made that opinion known with a lot of crying, so the baby had to be recast. Favreau brought in triplet girls who were more than happy to be movie stars. I think the best way to wrap up this video is to gleefully mention that we will not be getting an Elf 2, probably ever. Don't get me wrong, I love Elf. and would watch it a million times more. But the sequels that we've been getting with other movies in recent years have not exactly been encouraging. I think I want to preserve the feelings I get from watching Elf without tainting it with a subpar sequel. The producers actually wanted a sequel, but Ferrell turned it down because he didn't think the script was any different from the first one. I mean, what other story is there to tell with Elf? Buddy is no longer in New York. Anyway, before this turns into a rant, let's end the video here. Don't forget to share your thoughts about the movie in the comments section below. Also, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.